Democrat Party is in trouble. 11 Democrats have already announced their retirement. You had Nancy Pelosi, the minority leader in the House of Representatives, pull back. She came short of retiring, then she pulled back because she didn't want to cause abject panic within her caucus. Couple that with Jerry Brown in California implementing climate change policies, implementing high income taxes. Every household or paycheck in California has an additional 10% tax because California's budget is so out of control. At the same time, also conducting a project building the speed rail to nowhere, which is going to cost billions and billions of dollars in additional tax revenue. It's going to need extra tax money. Couple that with the runaway spending. They have the highest pension gap in the country. They also have the highest social programs being spent because California is vastly so much more bigger a state than the other states. The Democrats are in trouble. I would not be surprised if California went red for the first time since '86. Would not be shocked. And then you got to take into account that 1 million policyholders lost their policies with the implementation of the individual mandate this year. I'm telling you folks, those internal polling, those things are looking bad. Obama came out a week before the State of the Union talking about online registration and online voting, things that could possibly lead to more voter fraud. Then you also have Nancy Pelosi and House Dems talking about passing a law that will overturn the Citizens United decision. Then you have this net neutrality out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, they want to pass a net neutrality law just so they can give the FCC a foothold onto the internet. The reason I think is because of the conservative bloggership that's been happening throughout social media. That's just a theory that I have. Folks, the Democrats are in trouble. They know it. We know it. They know that we know it. You got Henry Waxman retiring. He's been in office for 40 years, and all of a sudden he's retiring. And the only person that the Democrat Party can use to take his place is Sandra Fluke, somebody who 2 years ago needed birth control subsidies. Somehow she came up with the $17.50 to run for Congress, to put in her bid for Congress. You have Nancy Pelosi, like I said, stopping short of announcing her retirement. Folks, those internal polls must look really bad if they're this worried. Then you got Chuck Schumer, New York, talking about, we need to scrutinize and target Tea Party groups. Tea Party groups are still getting targeted by the IRS while all this is going on, folks. But you know what? They started this. They started this little dirty war. And somehow I feel that the American people are going to end it. It's not going to take a lot of Tea Party groups to convince people that liberal policies don't work. They're seeing them in action. You have 38% black teen unemployment. You got 60 to 80%, depends on where you are in certain urban areas, of black adult unemployment. Age groups 18 to 34. That age group make up 50% of everyone that's unemployed. Now, these are the folks that bought hope and change for both elections. Then you have high inflation because of government spending, high grocery prices, higher electrical prices all over because of Obama's EPA and their war on coal, which is 40% of all of our electricity. Then you have this posture that's totally antagonistic to any type of fossil fuels. You have the Keystone Pipeline being delayed. Even though now it's cleared all the environmental hurdles, there's no environmental reasons to not finish building the Keystone. I do not expect this president to build Keystone, especially in an election year, especially when it could cost him the midterms. So I don't think that's going to happen, but there's every reason to do it. I mean, it's going to give us more access to oil from an ally in Canada, which, that I guess it makes sense. So what I've learned over the years, that anything that makes sense, Washington typically run away from it. Then you got this push for immigration that, thank God, it's come to a screeching halt. I want to give Speaker Boehner some props. He listened to the constituency. He listened to his base. And he clinged to principle, because this administration isn't even enforcing the current immigration law. They're not deporting everyone that they could deport. And you have laws, states like California, states like New Jersey, that are passing in-state tuition laws for illegals, giving them more incentive to stay because of this immigration push that's come out of Washington. Folks, I'm here to tell you, when you look at Southern California, it's been pretty much decimated by the Reagan amnesty for a couple of decades now. Folks, California is in play. At the same time, the liberals, they are so concentrated on turning Texas blue, which without an amnesty bill, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it's battleground. You got Houston, one of the biggest cities in Texas, a liberal enclave that somehow seemed to elect Sheila Jackson Lee for repeat terms, but Texas isn't going blue. It's in danger of going blue, but I have a feeling it's not. I think California and a whole lot of places that have been putting up and seeing the disastrous results of blue policies are going to either be going trending purple or going red. Folks, the Democrats in trouble. They're on the run. And that's why there's all of this so far a call for election reforms and cut back. Even though unions get all of the benefits of participating and fundraising in elections, so now you want private organizations and individuals to have even more restrictions on what they can give and what they can do. Democrats are in trouble, folks. They know it. Folks, this is how we got Obama in the first place. When you go back to the McCain-Feingold bill and how it would affect, Citizens United, you had a restriction of lobbying from private organizations, but all the while unions are virtually unregulated in this aspect. Then you had all of these George Soros 504 organizations that put in their candidates, back their candidates, money flowing out of that machine to get people elected. That same machine gave us second Clinton term, and that same machine gave us healthcare reform. They were going after Democrats. They were threatening to go after Democrats that did not support Obamacare. And that's why when we came in that January 2009, they had been pushing for Obamacare that entire year. That was the first priority, even though every metric in the world said that we needed a strong economy before passing any type of healthcare reform, because you're going to need something to support it. You're going to need something to pay for it. And you can only do that with a strong economy. Any government program, you need a strong economy. And we didn't have it at the time. We were coming out of the housing crisis. Everything was fragile. 2009 comes in. It's flatline. Nobody wants it because there's no jobs out there. And then this company in California posts a $4 billion profit, and the media got a hold of that. And folks, that's how we ended up with Obamacare that December. But that was a Soros push. They pushed that. They threatened to go after Democrats. And even with all of that pressure, even with all of that push, the bill barely passed. Bart Stupak sold out. His district, of course, got an airport for his support for the bill. It came down to 11 conservative Democrats, quote unquote conservative Democrats, which aren't around anymore. None of them are around anymore. It took Obama to go into the chambers of the Democratic caucus in Congress and convince them to pull the lever, knowing that some of them would be cast in their final vote, that they would have repercussions because of their support for this healthcare law. Folks, and now here we are. The law's been implemented. Individual mandate has passed and gone. The taxes have already started. Of course, the taxes started 4 years before the actual policy was implemented. By design, I might add. So here we are. People are suffering. People are losing their policies. People are losing. They're moving from full-time to part-time jobs. And job prospects are drying up because of the cost of these policies. The only way to escape Obamacare is you're self-insured. If you're, no matter what type of organization you are. If you're self-insured, if you're a self-insured company, you're paying for the cost of your health care out of pocket. Basically, you have an insurance company and you pay them a fee for administering. Then you can escape some of the provisions, most of the provisions of Obamacare, which the coverage requirements, and some of the the co-pays and so forth, and the co-insurance fee and the taxes. That's the only way to escape it. But you'd have to be at a very good organization to have a self-funded insurance company, somewhere like Google, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, I'm naming accounting firms because that's my background, but there are some places that are self-funded, but very few. But folks, this thing is a disaster. People can't log onto the site. The site isn't secure. You have identification theft. Some people can't confirm insurance. And then the unspoken part of this thing is you had people prior to Obamacare that might have stumbled on to a terminal illness that they may have. But at the same time, they had coverage through an employer. So they held on to that employer. They held on to that coverage because it's not a pre-existing condition. So some of those folks are losing policies now, and they have to go to these exchanges, and these prices are too high. So literally, some people with terminal illnesses like cancer and other illnesses that you need serious and repeat treatment are literally choosing between life and death. Can they afford to live or can they not? Folks, this thing is a disaster. Democrats are on the daggone run. They know it. And they're going to keep running. They're going to try to deflect. They're going to try to go to another issue. That's why they're talking about this wage gap between women and men, and the war on women, and gay. They're gonna go gay rights. They're gonna do whatever they have to do to deflect, and the media, they are going to cover their butts for them too. The media is gonna be right there. But looking at these latest results from the ratings, CNN is in trouble. MSNBC is in trouble. Folks, people are tuning this stuff out. I feel a wave coming. And on top of that, you got a whole slew of Tea Party candidates that looks like they're going to pan out, like Matt Bevin in Kentucky. Hopefully he'll replace Ditch McConnell. Then you have William Coyne in West Virginia. And I kind of really like that guy. He knows fiscal policy. He knows about central banking policy. I think he's going to be a good candidate as well. I mean, we have a whole bunch of good candidates. Folks, I feel a wave is coming. It's going to be I have a feeling this year in 2014 is going to be very reminiscent of a type of a Reagan-esque revolution. Just got a feeling, folks. But about California, I'm basing that totally on policy. I think people are fed up, even in California. They've had their cup filled with liberalism on the state side from Jerry Brown implementing those intrusive and overbearing and taxing policies. And then you have to put up with the mandates from the federal government. Folks, people are waking up a little. Let's just hope it continues.